Hi everyone, my name is Karen. This is a picture of me at a book signing event, and I wrote the book Little Ohio. Here's a picture of that too. This book is about 100 of Ohio's smallest towns, all with populations under 500 people. One of the cool parts of writing this book is that I visited each of these 100 towns, so I thought I might share a little bit of the behind the scenes of that unique experience. The first step in visiting 100 towns is to make a map. I wrote this book in a little over a year, so I needed to be strategic about my travel. So I created a map in Google Maps, which I could open on my phone while traveling, and I labeled each town on my list in green. Once I visited the town, I marked it red, or sometimes orange or pink. I couldn't get the color quite right, but I knew that it wasn't green. I work Monday through Friday at my day job, so I was normally visiting small towns on the weekends. Before a town weekend, my husband, who came with me to probably about 80 of these towns, sat with me and agonized over this map, plotting out the most convenient travel path, accounting for travel time, meals, and sundown. When we were trying to see multiple towns in a day, sundown could be a real issue. If you got to a town after daylight, it would be impossible to photograph it for the book. I still have dreams where I am speeding to a town to get a photo before it gets dark. And yes, I did get one speeding ticket during this project, but that's another story. Normally, we would reach our final town with enough time to get our work done and then watch the sun go down. Some of my favorite pictures in this book were actually taken right as the sun was going down. This is one of my favorites, in Colton. We reached this town after a long day on the road and finally took a breath and just walked around for an hour or so before enjoying the sunset. There were two ways to see a town, either before I wrote about it or after. My writing wasn't exactly geographic, but my travel had to be, so there wasn't any easy way to organize this. But each experience was incredibly rewarding and useful. If we saw a town before I wrote and researched it, I was on more of a research mission. I took pictures that I never intended to put in the book, but that I was making a note to research later. I read every single sign and historic marker carefully. Writing about these towns was fun because I could walk through them in my mind as I wrote. You can kind of see what that looked like here, with the All Saints Church in New Regal. I took a few nicely framed pictures with the church and the historic marker in case we wanted that in the book. Then I got very close and took a million pictures of the content so I would be able to read it later. You can actually get the content of all of these Ohio historic markers online, but this is who I am as a person. If we saw a town after I wrote about it, I was both a writer and a tourist. I'm a historian. This is how we travel. We go see obscure historic landmarks and we get excited about them. We can't help it. I loved getting to see landmarks that had come to mean so much to me as I pored over the very human story attached to them. You can see that here in the town of Norwich, where Christopher Baldwin is buried. A librarian, like myself, Baldwin was visiting in 1835 when his stagecoach was upturned, making him the first person to die in a traffic accident in Ohio. When we reached Norwich, it had snowed very heavily the day before, so I sat and uncovered Baldwin's headstone with my gloved hands. In all honesty, I spent a lot of time in graveyards. I wrote a lot about people who historically inhabited these towns, and, well, most of these people have been deceased for quite a while. So I would look them up on Find a Grave, figure out where their headstone was, and then get excited. My publisher had to tell me to stop taking pictures of graveyards because it was getting a little weird. This is only a small selection of the photos that I sent in. Regardless of if I had researched it yet, each of these towns surprised or delighted me in new and exciting ways. This process was also filled with random behind-the-scenes hijinks that I wanted to share with you. Luckily, as I was photographing each town, my husband, aka my faithful co-pilot, was often photographing me. So we have a lot to see. Let's start, shall we? First, we have playgrounds. If there was a playground, I played on it. Here I am on a playground. Here I am getting stuck in the playground. Here I am walking away satisfied from a playground. And here I am on a train, which is sort of like a playground. Looks like maybe I didn't play on this one, right? No, I did. Next, we have animals. We saw 2 dogs and too many cats to count. Here I am petting a cat. Here's a cat in a cornfield, and here's a dog that my husband and I were concerned was a ghost because he disappeared as soon as other people walked by. And here's a goat in the town of Camp Dennison that I fell in love with. He posed for my camera. He said, "Let me be in your book." Unfortunately, he isn't in the book, but now he is here for you to see, and I really do hope that he appreciates this. Oh, and here's me meeting the Gilboa bull. A lot of people ask me what my favorite town was. I don't really have a favorite, but Gilboa is often the one that I like to discuss. In case you didn't know it, Ohio has weather, like really bad weather sometimes. My husband and I both grew up in Cleveland, so we know bad weather, but we have been privileged enough to live in Columbus for a while, so we had forgotten. We went north towards the lake effect during one of the worst snowstorms of the year. When I took this picture, my car was stuck in the snow behind me, and I was honestly a little concerned that it was going to stay that way. A lot of small towns are small because they are not located on major roadways. This meant a lot of small one-lane roads where the conversation went something like this. Do you think someone might come the other way? No, we're fine, right? It's been a while. Do you think we're almost there? Are we going to be able to make it back? Can my car make it up this hill? One of those roads took us to one of my favorite spots, the Haunted Moon Tunnel, and this, the photo my friends begged me to put in the book. I didn't. There was also a lot of great food. Here's my favorite restaurant in Holiday City. The potato soup made my week. We also often stayed the night on our road trips. A few times we were able to stay near college campuses and get some great beer and snacks in the evening. And here's the town we almost missed until we drove through and I said, oh my gosh, this is on the list, stop the car. Here's only a small percentage of the photographs we took of post offices. Again, my publisher wanted me to stop, but we just couldn't. I found them fascinating. My husband and I would walk by our local post office and instinctually try to take a picture. Is there a word for this? And here's what my face normally looked like after a long day. And one final shout out to the coffee shop I found myself in on all of the other weekends when I was writing about these towns instead of visiting them. There is so much to share about this journey, and it's been fun to reminisce and share these experiences with you. If you pick up a copy of Little Ohio, I encourage you to make some of these trips. Let me know what parts are your favorite, and maybe I'll make the trip again one day.